with snare trap wounds that are at kind of an advanced state, we're prepared to look for the animal as long as we need to. We basically have to treat it as if we don't get Kasanaka to the hospital that evening, that she won't survive.
Just arrived in Chalong, about halfway up the hill towards the Big Buddha. I'm looking for a dog that looks quite a bit like this one, but it's obviously not him because the dog I'm looking for has a really noticeable swollen front leg.
Kasanaka, we kind of knew was going to be difficult to find. There are certain concentrated areas in the south of Phuket where snare trap wounds are very common. People will lay snares in the jungle for wild pigs, but dogs, not knowing any better, get caught in the trap, and then oftentimes from the pain or the shock, they'll run into the jungle, and that's when it becomes really dangerous. Because as the weeks or months go by, the wire embeds itself deeper and deeper into the flesh until it gets to the point where everything below that point of constriction basically starts to die. And then you need to worry about things like sepsis and blood infections, which can be life-threatening.
Okay, so the picture that we received is from yesterday, and this woman who we know well, I didn't know it was her that called Tony here. She called us about Tony a few months ago. Hi, buddy. Hi, Tony. Hi, Tony. Hi.
The call came in about Kasanaka from probably the most common source, which is the feeder. These are people, not just in Phuket, but all across Thailand, who will get up every morning, often go out again in the evening and feed all the local dogs in their area. They're often the first ones to see injuries, the first ones to notice if dogs in their area have disappeared for a few days, and then they'll reach out to us and we'll respond with one of our rescue officers. In this case, it was one of our most experienced rescue officers, Kun Pop. Pop is a legend. He is extraordinarily determined, but he's also very creative, and to employ basically tracking techniques. Look at the wet earth for paw prints, look for parted areas in the jungle where it looks like an animal has moved through. If I know we're arriving to a case where an animal is going to be difficult to find, there's no one I'd rather have there than Pop.
So now he's saying up by the ATV park, which is just back up where we came from, so I don't know. A lot of dogs, but not the one we're looking for.
We arrived at the area, and to be honest, you have a bad feeling from the start because there's 8 or 10 dogs on the road who the feeder knows, and Kasanaka is the only one missing. So in cases like this with snare trap wounds that are at kind of an advanced state, we're prepared to look for the animal as long as we need to. We basically have to treat it as if we don't get Kasanaka to the hospital that evening, that she won't survive. It can be incredibly difficult in these densely jungled areas where you don't really know where to look. We're just starting at a point and we have a radius that we work out from. And we're just scanning the area, looking under all the usual places a dog might hide in the middle of the day, under houses, in the dense brush, and just speaking to everyone. Anyone who might have seen Kasanaka in the last couple of days, but no luck, no one had seen her. And so you have to remain hopeful, optimistic. You have to continue to act like we're gonna find her, we just have to keep looking. But to be honest, doubts start to creep in. With each hour that goes by, there's this growing sense of anxiety. You imagine this dog in a great deal of pain who just feels helpless. And so you feel helpless because all you want to do is find the animal.
Where? Under?
It's kind of inexplainable, the feeling of relief that just washes over you. And then it's interrupted almost immediately by a different kind of anxiety because we first find Kasanaka and she's obviously in a bad way.
Oh yeah, the left leg, you can see, I can't see the object that's tied around it, but you can see it's really swollen.
The arm is extremely swollen. She can barely keep her eyes open. It's difficult for her to lift her head. And so we know we need to get her back to the hospital as soon as possible. It seems like she feels relieved that we're there. She's obviously a very sweet dog. Because in that amount of pain and that amount of distress, oftentimes dogs don't like to use the word aggressive, but oftentimes they're just defensive. They don't know why we're there. They don't know who we are. You could tell then this is an extraordinary dog. So Pop crawls underneath the house, very gently pulls Kasanaka out. You'll see, we put a muzzle on her. We always do. It's for her safety and for Pop's, but we probably didn't even need to. She is so sweet. So Pop pulls her out, carries her back to the truck, and we get on our way back to the sanctuary. We get in the truck, and we have an hour drive back to the hospital, and it's another just feeling of helplessness with this dog in the back who's suffering, and we're trying to get back to the hospital as quickly but as safely as we can. Just a few minutes could make the difference between her living and her not surviving. What I remember most from the hospital is the same as when we rescued her. It's just how sweet and calm Kasanaka is. She's in quite a depressed state, but most dogs, even when they're in that state, they're panicked, they're wide-eyed. And Kasanaka, it seemed like she knew. It seemed like she knew that we were trying to help her. And at that point, for me, it's just observing our vets do what I've seen them do countless times at this point, which is just work miracles, bring animals back from the brink. It was clear on the first night that Kasanaka was going to need surgery. She was going to require amputation. Oftentimes with cases like this, the blood work is a little bit concerning, and so we have to just give her as much support as we can, clean the wound, give her water, give her antibiotics until she's strong enough to go in for surgery. Seeing her now is just, it just brings you joy. She is an incredible dog, honestly. I love all of our dogs, but there are certain ones that stand out. Kasanaka stands out. Her joy for life, her love for people, love for other dogs. She's just one of those dogs. She's a beautiful, beautiful creature. I can't wait for her to be adopted. She's been through so much, like so many of the dogs here. Her experience with us started with trauma, started with pain. And if it were to end with comfort and love, you don't get too many of these stories that go from really the brink of death to something so beautiful in the end. It would mean a lot to me and to so many of us here if we could find her a home. If you think you might be that person, please head to our website at soydog.org to learn more about how to adopt her. And even if you can't adopt, you can help by liking, commenting, and sharing this video to help us find this sweet girl a home. These animals would have no chance without your support.